Today, we're going to be looking at Topic 7, the environmental value systems. In this chapter, we'll be seeing what is meant by an environmental value system, outline the different ranges of the environmental philosophies, discuss how these philosophies influence our decision-making process, outline key historical influences on the development of modern environmental movement, compare and contrast the environmental value systems to two different societies, and lastly, justify our own viewpoints on the environmental issues. So what are environmental values? The universal definition defines it as a particular worldview or set of paradigms that shape the way an individual or group of people perceive and evaluate environmental issues. In short, it means that it is a specific worldview that greatly influences the way an individual or group of people evaluate environmental problems. So how are these values shaped, and what shapes them? These values are shaped by their cultural, economic, and socio-political inputs such as education, religion, and media, and their outputs are perspectives, actions, or the decisions on how they react to environmental issues. However, it depends on the type of system that an individual or group of people are exposed to. Example being whether it's a democratic or authoritarian government. Perhaps it's more of a patriarchal than matriarchal government as well. A quick fun fact about this is that unlike flows of energy in ecosystems, in these social systems, we can find flows of constant information and ideas. And even though they are so different, they have similar features, such as producers and consumers in each system. In the social system, the producers release new inputs, which could be considered as documentaries, films, and books. And the consumers, which would be us, we absorb and process the information. Moving on, we're going to be talking about the range of environmental philosophies. And what does that mean? It's the environmental values that range from a technocentrist to an econocentrist, with the anthropocentric in the middle between them. On the technocentric end, it is believed that the technology will keep environmental problems in control, including when human activities push nature systems past their limits. This term is oftentimes related to the cornucopian view, which is the belief in the unending resources of humans and their abilities to control their environment. On the other end, we can find the econocentrists who prefer to work with natural environmental systems before using modern large-scale technology. Unlike technocentrists, they see themselves as a part of nature rather than in control of it. At one end of this view, people are considered soft ecologists. In other words, someone who rejects materialistic needs and is a conservative regarding the environmental solutions. The other end of this econocentrist is the deep ecologist. In short, they value nature more than mankind, meaning that they see nature as having its own inherent value, which adds to the idea of holism throughout the environmental movement. Lastly, we see the anthropocentric worldview, which is human-based since it includes both the econocentrist and technocentrist in its perspectives. In their eyes, the environmentalists, for example, humans play a key role in managing sustainable global systems since they have the power to either protect it or destroy it. Now moving on to decision-making and environmentalism. These environmental philosophies that we have looked at previously influence our decision-making process. For example, in the environmental challenges posed by the extensive use of fossil fuels, from a technocentric point of view, they would use science to fix it even though it might affect the planet. However, from an econocentric point of view, they would try to reduce the greenhouse gases by curtailing gas emissions, even if it would affect the economic growth of the globe. This also leads up to the attitudes toward ecological deficiency. So what is ecological deficiency? It's the available capacity of a country. In other words, it's the biological productivity a country has in itself. The ecocentric believes that when there is ever a presence of deficit, they believe that it is a key evidence that people are living an unsustainable life. However, technocentrics may believe that the economic growth will provide better technology in order to solve the problem of environmental deficiency. Now we move on to our next point, our next topic, which is the developments of modern environmental movements. The environmental movement advocates sustainable developments through public policy and individual behavior. And some major landmarks that took place in order to promote this were in 1956, which was the discovery of the Minamata disease in Japan, and the cause of this was a release of methyl mercury from the Chizu Corporation chemical factory that went into the shellfish and other fishes in the sea that were eaten by the locals. In 1962, Rachel Carson's book Silent Spring was published, and the importance of this book was that it led to a widespread concern about the use of pesticides and the pollution of the environment. On December 3rd of 1984, there was a leak from the Union Carbide pesticide plant, which led to a death of 35,000 people. The reason for this was caused by the release of 45 tons of a chemical substance. And there were also protests about disasters and concerns about the unsustainable use of Earth's resources that were done by Greenpeace in 1970 by the time it was found. Environmental disasters have affected the way people view human impacts on the planet. The realization of the negative influences people have has led to the development of the environmental movement, which has impacted the worldviews of people around the globe. Now, moving on to the environmental value systems as a whole. There are different types of societies that have different types of perspectives based on their individual philosophies and worldviews. An example of this is seen on the following case study, which is named Native Americans and European Pioneers. Prior to the colonization of North America by Europeans from the late 16th century and onwards, the country mainly consisted of Native American Indian tribes. From a general point of view, the Native Americans thought of their environment as communal and had a sustainable economy based on the exchange for other goods without using money. Since they had primitive technologies, they lived alongside the environment, which came from their beliefs that everything had life, similar to the movie Pocahontas. Unlike the Native Americans, the European pioneers operated frontier economics, which consisted of the exploitation of resources which they believed to be unlimited. However, this caused environmental degradation to the Native American habitat through overpopulation, heavy and advanced technologies and industries.